Whenever you're ready.
God bless you.
Mark, you ready?
I'm sitting here this afternoon with Sri Mataji Nirmala Devi. Is that how I say your name, Sri Mataji?
That's correct. That's correct.
Sri Mataji is a world-renowned spiritual leader, and we're very happy to welcome you here today.
Thank you very much.
Sri Mataji, can you tell us when you first realized that you had this special spiritual gift?
You see, it's like this, that when we are born as human beings, we know we are human beings. In the same way, I knew from my very birth that I was something of that kind.
And since you've been a young person, you've been spreading this spiritual message, or is this something that you've just recently begun to do?
No, I had to wait and see certain things about human beings, because I had to study why human beings cannot get realization en masse. They should get it en masse. Otherwise, if one person gets it, then people don't understand them. They crucify them, they poison them, they torture them. So why shouldn't it work out en masse? And so I had to study for years together. At the age of my 47th year, I discovered a method by which self-realization can be achieved en masse.
Sri Mataji, you use the term self-realization. That's a term we're not really very familiar with here in America. Can you explain that to me?
It's the same as what Christ has said, that you have to be born again. That is when, like a bird, you are an egg and then you become a bird. And also a bird is called as a twice born in Sanskrit language. In the same way, a human being is bound by his conditioning, by his ego. But when he is born again, then he is called as a self-realized person, because he knows about himself, about his inner being, and also he is endowed on his central nervous system with a new awareness that Jung had described as collective consciousness. So it's not just a certificate one can give that you are baptized, or you are self-realized, or you are twice born. It's a living process which is the last breakthrough in your awareness, where you become, it's a question of becoming, you become a personality which can feel the all-pervading power about which every scripture has described on your central nervous system. This is what we call as Bodh, as in Buddha, call as Vida, as in Veda. Means you have to know it on your central nervous system, on your fingertips, as Muhammad Sahib has said, that you have to know it on your fingertips, that it exists all around you like a very beautiful, soothing, cool breeze. This is the cool breeze of the Holy Ghost.
So Sri Mataji, what you are describing then is a process that comes from within inside each of us and is something that everyone can feel, or just a few people?
No, everybody can feel. Sahaja, you see, we call it a Sahaja Yoga. Sahaja means born with you. Is born with you, this yoga, or we can say this promise of yoga is born with you, means there is a power within you, which is called in Sanskrit language as Kundalini, which resides in the triangular bone, which surprisingly the Greeks called as sacrum bone. That means they knew it's a sacred bone, and this is the fourth power which resides within us, and which somehow or other awaken, pierces through your fontanelle bone area, and you really get the experience of actualization of your second birth by feeling the cool breeze coming out of your head, you yourself, and you can experience it on your fingertips. It's not just imagination. You have to certify yourself.
Well, Sri Mataji, it sounds extremely simple. How does one have this feeling coming from their fingertips and a cool breeze coming from the top of the head?
Everything vital has to be simple. See how a seed sprouts. You have to just put it in the Mother Earth. The Mother Earth has got the capacity to sprout it, and the seed has all the built-in machinery in it. In the same way, you too have everything within you, and it just sprouts.
So Sri Mataji, once this is sprouted, then what? What happens to me? Do I become different?
You start transforming completely, because you get the light. When there is no light, you can catch hold of a snake thinking it's a rope. But when there's light, you can see it yourself and you drop it. So you can see the saints were real saints, incarnations, prophets. They never committed mistakes. We might think they committed mistakes because our knowledge about them is limited. But they never committed mistakes, they never committed sins, because they were connected with the divine power, because they were self-realized.
Well, the transforming power that you describe then is something that once it happens to me, I keep it for myself. Can I give this transformation power to my friends or my relatives, or is it just mine?
No, of course. A light which is lightened is not kept under the table, as Christ has told. In the same way, when you are enlightened, you can enlighten other people. You are endowed with that power. You have those powers. Then you can do it, because it passes through your six subtle centers and pierces through your last center of limbic area, which is nourished, which is being made knowledgeable. So when you start giving this to others, you can feel the centers of other people on your fingertips, and you know what is their problem. Only thing, if you have to know, only if you can know, how to get rid of those obstacles of these subtle centers, you can manage it.
So what you're saying is once this power is awakened within each of us, then the normal problems of humanity, the problems of health or of stress or of nervousness will go away?
That's the minimum.
There's more.
That's the minimum that would happen. It cures so many incurable diseases, and it also gives you mental peace. It has cured many mental cases. People have got rid of drug habits, alcoholism, because, as I told you, you see the snake and you drop them. Also, you become very powerful, but not aggressive, very compassionate.
I think that's what Americans would worry, whether they would just become a nation of very passive people. That is not the case then with this meditation technique?
Not at all. You become very dynamic. You see, actually, you are passive when you are afraid of something, when you don't know anything. Then you become passive. But you become dynamic when you know everything and you know you are not doing anything wrong. So you are not afraid of anything.
Sri Mataji, in the background information we received, I know you've traveled around the world for several years, 19 or 20, and you've been spreading this message. When you came to America, I believe it was in the early 1970s, you came at that time with not only this message, but a message about false gurus. And in the 1980s, you warned us again that we needed this self-realization and that AIDS was on the horizon. Is there a message that you have for us for the 1990s?
What's the use? Even if I tell you, people won't listen. I told them about AIDS. I've told them about a kind of a paralysis of the conscious mind that's working out already. Also about very speedy people, very speedy children, but they don't listen. The trouble of Americans is this, that they think everything is money. And those who make them pay, or those whom they can purchase with money, they listen to them. If Christ was here, they would not have listened to him either. Because you cannot purchase Christ, you cannot purchase me. So those who can make money, those who can make business out of all this, then they will listen. And those who really know the job, those who really know the divine power, those who are honest, will never take any money for this because you cannot pay for it.
Well, that brings me to the New Age, Sri Mataji. Here in America, we're very involved in the so-called New Age of Enlightenment. We invest in crystals, we invest in channeling sessions, we have exotic diets, we jog. How does Sahaja Yoga differ from the other New Age phenomena that we're seeing?
All artificial things. Artificiality is not going to give you that personality which comes through inner transformation. And that's why this yoga, this union with the divine, has to be established. Now supposing if a tree is sick and we try to put some ointment on its leaves, do you think the tree will be cured? We have to go to the roots. In the same way, we have to go to the roots. And Sahaja Yoga deals with your roots, not with your outside.
I see. You mentioned money, Sri Mataji, and of course many people are getting rich with the New Age seminars and New Age books and crystals and other paraphernalia. Sahaja Yoga does cost money, doesn't it?
No, it does not at all. You cannot pay for it. It does not cost you money. Of course, I mean, supposing you have to come and see me here, you have to pay for the taxi, that's all. I am not supposed to pay for that.
And that's all? That's the only cost, just whatever cost you incur in getting the message?
Of course. Because this is a living process. And anything living does not understand money.
Sri Mataji, here in America, we have what many people view as two separate societies. We have a society on the one hand that is very affluent, very wealthy, technological advancements. And then on the other hand, we have an America that is impoverished morally, socially. We have crimes and child abuse. What is the explanation for these two separate Americas existing at the same time? And how can we get rid of those negative aspects that are becoming so prominent in American life?
There's imbalance in life. They are completely imbalanced people because they run after money. Hook or crook, get money. Do what you like. Women think that even selling their chastity is all right because you get money. What's wrong? They can sell everything. So there's no sense of morality within them. And that's why all these things start. For example, drugs do not come from the people who are addicted to drugs, but the ones who sell drugs. They sell drugs because they get money. They are not bothered as to how many people they are ruining by that. So it's a money orientation in everything. It's an extreme behavior towards money. Money has its own place and it should be treated in its own limitations and understanding. So when you go headlong with this idea of getting money, you enter into all these blind alleys where you get lost.
Well, are you a socialist, Sri Mataji?
I'm not a socialist, nor am I a capitalist, but I'm both. Because I have all the capital, because I have the powers, and I am a socialist because I can't live without distributing it.
And that's what you do on a daily basis. When we talk about transformation, Sri Mataji, many of us look at our planet Earth and see the ecological changes, the disasters all over the world. Here in America, one moment we have drought and the next moment we have flooding. Is that also part of this imbalance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, once we have to know that machinery or technology is for us. We are not for them. there has to be a balance of how far to go with machinery and how far to go with technology also. One day maybe that this technology will become a big devil and start killing us. Where have we reached with science also? We have got hydrogen bomb, atomic bomb, then we are creating acid rain, all kinds of problems. So the technology has no balance, while the knowledge of the spirit is not one-sided. Mental enterprises are only linear and they recoil on you. But the spiritual enterprise is on all sides. So it keeps complete balance and integration.
So what then, if I'm understanding, is if we become spiritually enlightened, self-realized as you call it, even our planet will change and the disasters that we see would lessen?
Of course, all problems are created by human beings only. The planet has created no problem. So if the human beings change, it will. And I think we don't need so many to change. Only some good people to change so they can influence others.
Well,
What we need are leaders, good leaders.
we've had some good leaders here in America, Sri Mataji. Certainly, I think I've heard you mention Abraham Lincoln.
Of course.
What were the qualities that Abraham Lincoln had that we in America should try and emulate more?
He was an enlightened soul, absolutely an enlightened soul in every way. And how he lived collectively, he thought of collective. The way he looked after all the sides of life, that's the sign of a realized soul. But I don't think now in America they value him so much as they should have. But one day when they'll be spiritually endowed, they'll value him very much. I saw a small little road somewhere in New York in his name and I was surprised.
Some school buildings also have his name, Sri Mataji.
I mean, you have to take a microscope to see that.
Sri Mataji, I think that's one of the problems here in America. We seem not to have the kinds of heroes that we need to have to give the role models. But just getting away from America and just looking on a global scope, we see transformations in several countries. China and India have reestablished ties. Soviet Union and America have reestablished ties. Is there something going on globally that is causing nations that we perceive to be imbalanced to suddenly transform and become balanced?
You see, now the communication has improved and people see each other now and everybody thinks others are better. Like Russians think Americans are in the heavens and the Americans think that the Russians are in the heavens. It's not understanding. When they are transforming, they should also see into what ditch they are. They should find out what problems there are. And when they are trying to transform themselves, they should see that they do not fall into those ditches. Then only it will work out. Otherwise, just copying somebody else or following somebody else, it's very artificial transformation and they will be in the same lurch.
Well, that brings me to the China situation. Certainly, there's been massive demonstrations for the past few weeks where they're looking to reform to become more democratic. Is your implication that just adopting our form of democracy is not China's answer?
Not at all. There will be another democracy. Not at all. I don't think this kind of a democracy is of any use, where there's no sense of authority, there's no sense of shame, there's no sense of collective understanding. This kind of a democracy is not going to work out. And Chinese think that you people have lots of money, you have big cars and you have other things of which you are fed up now. Otherwise, why should you take to drugs? But they don't see the other side of it. But I don't say that what Chinese are, they are all right. They all have to become sahaj to enjoy. Then the whole political scene will change. People will just think about the benevolence and a balanced living.
You've established Sahaj in 30 countries, Shri Mataji.
Yeah.
Tell me, besides India, where all of us here in America realize the spiritual life is of vast importance, is there another country that comes close to the spiritual side that India portrays?
I would say Turkey is very close to India. So if you exclude Turkey, then we can say Italy. Italian government, Italian people, they are very spiritually alert. They understand a spiritual person.
And Americans, for example, are not as sensitive?
They are more sensitive to guru shopping. If there's somebody selling, then they are happy. Yeah, if you are not selling, they are not happy. You have to have Rolls Royces to impress them. So with such kind of attitude, I don't know how far I can go with them.
Well, Shri Mataji, you're obviously very persistent because you've worked at this for at least 20 years. Is there something that Americans can do to become a bit more sensitive? I understand there's a money orientation, but is there something that we can do on a day-to-day life to begin to understand the spiritual need?
They have to see the shock waiting for them. They have to see what problems there are and not to evade and glorify them. Whatever problems they have, they make a big drama out of it and think that this is very great. So they should understand that this was a mistake, this was wrong, accept your mistakes, and then understand that this is not for your benevolence at all. It is for your destruction. These are all destructive powers which are working within you, because these are transitory things. And things which are transitory because they have a built-in power to get destroyed. Otherwise, why are they transitory? So you have to seek the eternal.
Shri Mataji, as you travel through America, is there any state that's more receptive to your message than any other? Is there anywhere in America that's sensitive?
I think San Diego is a good place. San Diego. I went there before also. First time I visited San Diego, there was a parapsychology institution. And I told them that this is all very wrong, it's all negative forces, don't indulge into these things, this is all black magic, this is not good, and they were very angry. Of course, I mean, it was not very good of me also, because I was supposed to be their guest and I should tell them off. But I didn't know what parapsychology means. Parapsychology actually, according to Sanskrit style, the para will be the above psychology, but it was even below psychology. So I thought I should not mislead them and I must tell them frankly, because I am a mother and I shouldn't tell them lies. But now we find it's all destroyed already. The people who were running it are destroyed, and those who were there, they came back to me, and that's why in San Diego we have a better center. Maybe the sea is helping them. I don't know what is helping them. But San Diego is the best place, I think, where today we find Sahaj Yogis developing better.
Well, Shri Mataji, you've traveled certainly extensively, and I should mention that you've been married 45 years to a very prominent figure, Mr. C.P. Srivastava of the United Nations. And I wonder, in your travels, I mean, we in America have such difficulty juggling jobs and families and extracurricular activities. How have you managed to have your marriage survive?
Oh, we are very happily married. See, actually, I was a housewife, so I waited till my daughters got married, and it all timed with it that I discovered also this Ama's method after my daughters were married. I have 2 daughters. Then my husband also got elected to this job by 134 nations. So fortunately and unfortunately, he has to also travel a lot. And I have always given him all freedom that he needed to travel even before he came to London on this job. So he realizes that it's very important work I am doing. He himself has said that to transform one person is difficult. You have transformed so many people. He always used to say that you are something great, but you can't make others like you. But now he says, my honesty compels me to admit that this is a tremendous work, and this will really create a real United Nations, because it will come from within.
So he's been working with the United Nations and sees your work as valuable,
he's
if
the
not
senior
more.
most Secretary General now. He's the senior most Secretary General, my husband.
And yet he finds your work to be of great value.
Of very great importance.
But Sri Mataji, obviously in your vision you see personal transformation, people becoming healthy, people becoming well, nations growing and embracing other nations. What's the role of America in this global transformation?
Very great. America doesn't know what is the role of America is. America is the one which stands for collectivity. It has to spread collectivity and communications. It has the power of communications. All these technology and all those things have come to America for communication. And communication is going to work out. So all those false gurus who have come to America suddenly become overnight well-known people in the whole world because they have a big name in America. Or the communication that we have through our talks, through our messages, through our lectures, all these are very important. And they have to guard themselves as to what they are talking about. Also, they are very busy helping nations here and there, like Vietnam and Korea, Nicaragua, all sorts of things. But the discrimination part, which is very important for communication, is slightly like, if they knew how to discriminate, they would be of the greatest help for the divine work. But this discrimination can only come after they have this transformation.
Well, you spoke of a few good people in America getting this transformation and then this discrimination. Do you have hopes that this will take place in the next decade?
Has to. I'm very hopeful. America has to realize it is coming to that point. All these shocks of AIDS and shocks of this drug and all other problems, ecological problems, all these are facing us today, are bringing us to a point to see there's something wrong somewhere.
Many people are going back to organized religion, those who are not involved in the New Age. I hear in your talks you speak of Jesus, you speak of Mohammed, you speak of Buddha and Krishna. What is the essence of these teachings that you feel brings all of these different prophets and holy people and incarnations together?
The essence of their teaching was, all of them said one thing. Depending on the time that they came, they might have given it additional color, additional forms. But the essence was that seek the eternal And transitory is to be used, knowing that it is transitory, into its own limitations. And the religions that are formed today are artificial religions. They are not innate religions, which are based on these great prophets and great incarnations. Because on a tree there are lots of flowers. At different times they come, bloom, give their fragrance. These people have plucked these flowers and which are dead, and they say, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. That's why it looks so funny. They grew on the same sap of seek the eternal with genuineness. Most of them are money oriented. It's all a big business. You cannot have business of Christ. You know how he took a hunter and hit people who were doing business, and now what will he do if he comes?
Is there any religion that we practice that's close to the type of idea or ideal that you have?
So far I haven't seen any. I haven't seen anyone. That's why the fundamentalists who are going to religion will become Hitlers. Because they are not with reality. Now we have a religion which we call as the universal pure religion within ourselves, and that is to be awakened.
And this happens with the process that you've discussed.
When the Kundalini arises and pierces through 6 centers, and you get the connection with the divine power, and you establish the connection, then you are that pure religion. You are not to be told, don't do this, don't do that. You just don't do it.
You've talked about it, but I don't know if I've asked you, how does this happen? I mean, you said it's spontaneous, but is it something that one needs to go in their room and ask for it? Is
nothing of the kind. If you just come to my program, I'll work it out. And then you can work it out. It's very simple. It's like one enlightened light can enlighten another light. One candle which is not yet enlightened cannot do it, but another one does it, but there's nothing special about it. See, how do you do it? Just like that, because it's already there, it just works.
Before we close, I wanted to ask whether the vision that you've portrayed, which is extremely beautiful, do you really think the world will achieve this peace and transformation?
Oh, I'm
and
very sure in my lifetime. I'm very sure now in my lifetime it will work out.
I want to thank you very much for coming to Mataji.
May God bless you. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Thank you. Very natural.
We live out of your confidence.
I acted well, I should say.
And she kept me alive.
I too kept her quite all right on the line.
I forgot to look at my papers.
Would you like to have food in enlargement? I think if you go enlargement, it will be better because then you can.
All right, I can have food.
Would you like to have it here or enlargement?
Huh?